It began before dawn, without warning. On October 20th, 2025, the farmlands of Heilongjiang, China's northern heart of grain and hope, fell silent. The air, once heavy with the hum of harvest, grew sharp and metallic. Then came the snow, thick, heavy, relentless. It struck the earth like a storm of needles, erasing the colors of autumn in a single night. Within hours, golden fields turned white, frozen, lifeless. By the next morning, Beijing, Heilongjiang, and the vast northern plateau lay buried under a sheet of ice. The cold had come early, too early. A blast of Arctic wind had escaped Siberia, sweeping across Mongolia and crashing into China's northern plains. It was a force that refused to wait for winter. From the forests of Mohe to the rooftops of Beijing, snow fell like curtains of silence. People woke to a world they didn't recognize. The last leaves of autumn fluttered beneath frost. The season had been cut in half. In Mohe City, the northernmost point of China, the snow began late on October 22nd. By dawn, more than 10 centimeters covered the streets, forests, and rooftops. Residents said the flakes drifted endlessly, falling in soft, thick waves that blurred the horizon. For locals, it wasn't just early, it was unnatural. Many said it had never come this soon, not in decades. The usual November snow had arrived weeks ahead, carrying the bite of midwinter. The city government reported that snowfall was 3 times heavier than the seasonal average. Snowplows worked through the night. Power workers climbed frozen poles to keep lines alive. Students were told to go to school late, waiting for the roads to clear. But even as life slowed, tourists gathered near the Heilong River, capturing photos of a landscape where silver met gold, autumn trees glistening under winter's first frost. Farther south in Harbin, the snow fell harder. The air turned razor cold. By October 22nd, temperatures had dropped to 1 degree Celsius, and the streets, once filled with harvest markets, were now packed with boots, heaters, and thick coats. The scent of roasted chestnuts had given way to the sting of frost. In just a few hours, the city had crossed from autumn warmth into biting winter. Even Beijing, nearly 1,000 kilometers away, felt the storm's reach. On October 22nd, frost gathered on rooftops in Mongolia and Miyun, and snowflakes danced across the Great Wall. Taxi drivers scraped thick layers of ice from their windshields. Commuters trudged through snow before sunrise, their breath rising like smoke. It was an unfamiliar sight for October, a city wrapped in white before autumn could even fade. On the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau and the Sichuan Highlands, the storm deepened. Snow and hail-battered villages, mountain passes were buried, and transport routes vanished under ice. In Qinghai, truck drivers found themselves stranded on frozen roads. Many had to dig through the snow by hand, helping one another to cross. In Sichuan and Shanxi, farmers raced to cover their fields, their crops at risk of freezing overnight. Rice, corn, and vegetables, everything had to be saved before the cold devoured it. In Xinjiang, the first snow came even earlier, on October 21st. Cities like Altai and Urumqi disappeared beneath white skies. Grapes and cotton, still waiting for harvest, froze before they could be gathered. Farmers said the snow arrived without mercy. For some, it was not a season, it was a disaster. Local authorities rushed to warn of icy roads and collapsing power lines, urging residents to stock fuel and food. By October 23rd, meteorologists confirmed what the people already knew. This was no ordinary cold front. It was the strongest and earliest in more than a decade. Siberia's high-pressure winds had collided with moist air from the east, turning rain into heavy, wet snow across half the country. Satellite images showed a white band stretching from the Russian border down to the Sichuan Plateau. In many lowland areas, wind speeds reached 20 meters per second, fast enough to turn snowflakes into shards of glass. In Beijing, residents switched on heating 2 weeks early. In the northern provinces, power companies scrambled to secure coal reserves. Transmission lines were checked every hour, their steel frames rattling under layers of frost. Local governments stockpiled supplies, fearing what the next wave might bring, because this storm wasn't done yet. In Heilongjiang, the snow returned on October 23rd, stronger than before. The fields that had survived the first wave were buried completely. The snow didn't fall gently now, it crashed. It slashed sideways in the wind, covering farmlands and silencing machines. The countryside grew eerily still. The harvest season had ended not by choice, but by force.
下雪了，那路曼的面我们操啦！
Farmers in Tonghe and Heilongjiang tried to fight back. Some waded into frozen fields, their hands numb, trying to save what they could. They shoveled snow off half-buried corn, hoping to gather the last grains before they froze. But the cold was merciless. Many watched helplessly as the stalks bent under the weight of ice, their crops locked beneath white crusts.
这是鱼啊，这是鱼啊。
Temperatures in Harbin fell from 5 degrees to -10 within hours. The sky turned gray, snowflakes the size of a palm hammered windows, and within moments the world outside disappeared into fog and silence. By dawn, nearly 500,000 hectares of farmland across northeastern China had been hit. Corn and rice fields were ruined. In some regions, up to 50% of the crops were lost. Frozen kernels cracked open, releasing moisture that refroze into ice. Experts warned that continued sub-zero temperatures could push losses even higher.
救援去，救援去！再往前开一点。OK。看你这位置。对，到我这儿停就行。 再往前上点，上一点。他这个是到你那儿？对，走走走。好，停。
Airports shut down. Flights in Harbin and Shenyang were canceled. Highways closed under thick layers of ice. Trucks carrying grain and vegetables sat stranded along frozen roads, waiting for plows that couldn't reach them in time. It spread across the internet, an image of struggle, endurance, and helplessness. By October 24th, the cold had spread southward. Shanghai, Hangzhou, even Guangzhou began to shiver. Temperatures dropped sharply, and cold rain replaced the last remnants of summer. In the coastal provinces, people who had worn short sleeves days earlier now walked under umbrellas in thick coats. It felt, as many said online, as though the warmth had been erased overnight. Meteorologists traced it all back to the polar jet stream. It had plunged south earlier than expected, dragging Arctic air across East Asia. The cold wave was so strong it even forced Typhoon Fengshan to change direction, steering away from China and toward Vietnam. Offshore, violent winds created 5-meter-high waves, tearing through the East and South China Seas. For the farmers, though, none of that mattered. All they saw was the white. All they felt was the cold. In the fields of Heilongjiang, corn lay frozen in the soil. Rice plants stood brittle, their grains split and useless. The season's labor, the planting, tending, and waiting, was gone in a night. By evening, the wind howled across the plains again. Smoke rose from chimneys as families burned coal and wood to stay warm. The smell of ash mixed with frost. People huddled indoors listening to the distant growl of snowplows fighting through the storm. The blizzard had stolen more than warmth. It had taken rhythm, routine, and the quiet trust that the seasons would arrive when expected. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more clear and calm reports on extreme weather events. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Please note that some footage in this video is for illustrative purposes and may not depict the exact events described. Thank you for watching and stay safe.